The Toyota Prius is a full hybrid electric mid-size hatchback, formerly a compact sedan developed and manufactured by Toyota. The EPA and California Air Resources Board rate the Prius as among the cleanest vehicles sold in the United States based on smog-forming emissions. The Prius first went on sale in Japan in 1997, and was available at all four Toyota Japan dealerships, making it the first mass-produced hybrid vehicle. It was subsequently introduced worldwide in 2000. The Prius is sold in almost 80 countries and regions, with its largest markets being those of Japan and the United States. Global cumulative Prius sales reached a milestone 1 million vehicle mark in May 2008, 2 million in September 2010, and passed the 3 million mark in June 2013. Cumulative sales of 1 million Pri were achieved in the US by early April 2011, and Japan reached the 1 million mark in August 2011. In 2011, Toyota expanded the Prius family to include the Prius V, an extended hatchback wagon, and the Prius C, a subcompact hatchback. The production version of the Prius plug-in hybrid was released in 2012. The Prius family reached global cumulative sales of 3.8 million units by June 2013, representing 71.7% of Toyota hybrid sales of 5.3 million Lexus and Toyota units sold worldwide since 1997. Global sales of the Prius C family passed the 500,000 mark in August 2013, with sales led by Japan with 448,703 Aquas, followed by the US with 65,583 Pri-C. Etymology and terminology: Prius is a Latin word meaning before. According to Toyota, the name was chosen because the Prius was launched before environmental awareness became a mainstream social issue. In February 2011, Toyota asked the public to decide on what the most proper plural form of Prius should be, with choices including Pen, Pri, Priam, Prius, or Priuses. The company said it would use the most popular choice in its advertising, and on February 20 announced that Pri was the most popular choice, and the new official plural designation. In Latin, Prius is the neuter singular of the comparative form of an adjective with only comparative and superlative. Consequently, like all third declension words, the plural in Latin was priera, which was used by the Lada Priera in 2007. Beginning in September 2011, Toyota USA began using the following names to differentiate the original Prius from some newer members of the Prius family. The standard Prius became the Prius Liftback, the Prius V, the Prius Plug-in Hybrid, and the Prius C. First generation. In 1995, Toyota debuted a hybrid concept car at the Tokyo Motor Show, with testing following a year later. The first Prius, model NHW10, went on sale on December 10, 1997. It was available only in Japan, though it has been imported privately to at least the United Kingdom, Australia, and New Zealand. The first-generation Prius, at its launch, became the world's first mass-produced gasoline-electric hybrid car. At its introduction in 1997, it won the Car of the Year Japan Award, and in 1998, it won the Automotive Researchers and Journalists Conference Car of the Year Award in Japan. Production commenced in December 1997 at the Takaoka plant in Toyota, Aichi, ending in February 2000 after cumulative production of 37,425 vehicles. Production recommenced in May 2000 at the Motomaki plant in the same area, before XW10 manufacture ended in June 2003 after a further 33,411 vehicles had been produced. The NHW10 Prius styling originated from California designers, who were selected over competing designs from other Toyota design studios. In the United States, the NHW11 was the first Prius to be sold. The Prius was marketed between the smaller Corolla and the larger Camry. The published retail price of the car was $19,995. The NHW11 Prius became more powerful partly to satisfy the higher speeds and longer distances that Americans drive. Air conditioning and electric power steering were standard equipment. The vehicle was the second mass-produced hybrid on the American market, after the two-seat Honda Insight. While the larger Prius could seat 5, its battery pack restricted cargo space. The US EPA classified the car with an air pollution score of 3 out of 10 as an ultra-low emission vehicle. Prius owners were eligible for up to a $2,000 federal tax deduction from their gross income. In contrast with the NW10, Toyota executives stated that the company broke even financially on sales of the NHW11 Prius. European sales began in September 2000. The official launch of the Prius in Australia occurred at the October 2001 Sydney Motor Show, although sales were slow until the NHW20 model arrived. Toyota sold about 123,000 first-generation Pri. Second generation. In 2003 the Prius was completely redesigned as a mid-size liftback, sized between the Corolla and the Camry, with redistributed mechanical and interior space significantly increasing rear seat legroom and luggage room. The new Prius is even more environmentally friendly than the previous model, and is 6 inches longer than the previous version. Its more aerodynamic camback body balances length and wind resistance, resulting in a drag coefficient of a CD equals 0.26. The development effort, led by Chief Engineer Shigeya Hori, led to 530 patents for the vehicle. Production commenced in August 2003 at the Tsutsumi plant in Toyota, Aichi, supplemented in October 2004 with the Faimatsu plant at Carrier, Aichi. The Prius uses an all-electric AC compressor for cooling, an industry first. Combined with a smaller and lighter NIMH battery, the XW20 is more powerful and more efficient than the XW10. In the US, the battery pack of 2004 and later models is warranted for 150,000 miles or 10 years in states that have adopted the stricter California emissions control standards, and 100,000 miles or 8 years elsewhere. The warranty for hybrid components is 100,000 miles or 8 years. It is classified as a SULEV and is certified by California Air Resources Board as an Advanced Technology Partial Zero Emission Vehicle. From 2005 to 2009, the second-generation Prius had been built by FAW Toyota in the city of Changchun for the Chinese market. It was reported that a total of 2,152 Pri were sold in 2006 and 414 in 2007. The relatively low sales was blamed on high price, about $15,000 higher than the equivalent in Japan or the US, caused by high duties on imported parts. In early March 2008, Toyota cut the price of Prius by up to 8% or $3,000 to KNB to $259,800. It was thought that the sales dropped as a result of both a lack of acceptance and increased competition. The Honda Civic Hybrid was exported to China from 2007. Toyota sold about 1,192,000 second-generation Pri worldwide. Safety. U.S. National Highway Traffic Safety Administration crash testing of the 2004 U.S. model year Prius yielded a 5-star driver and 4-star passenger rating in the frontal collision test. Side crash results were 4 out of 5 stars for both front and rear seats. The car scored 4 out of 5 stars in rollover testing. U.S. Insurance Institute for Highway Safety crash test scored the Prius good overall in frontal collisions and good overall in side impact collisions in models equipped with side airbags. A poor score was given to models without side airbags. Side curtain and torso airbags became standard on 2007 American models. Third generation. Toyota debuted the new Prius at the January 2009 North American International Auto Show, and sales began in Japan on May 18, 2009. Toyota cut the price of the Prius from a 2.331 million yen to a 2.05 million yen to better compete with the Honda Insight, leading some to wonder whether increased sales of the Prius might come at the expense of sales of other vehicles with higher margins. Competition from lower-priced hybrids, such as the Honda Insight, also made it difficult for Toyota to capitalize on the Prius's success. As of June 2013, Toyota has sold about 1,688,000 third-generation Pri worldwide. At its introduction in 2009, it won the Car of the Year Japan Award for the second time. Its new body design is more aerodynamic, with a reduced drag coefficient of a CD equals 0.25. This figure is disputed by General Motors, which found the value for the model with 17-inch wheels to be around 0.30 based on tests in GM, Ford, and Chrysler wind tunnels. Car and Driver measured the third-generation Prius at 0.26 in a privately arranged five-way wind tunnel test of comparable cars. An underbody rear fin helps stabilize the vehicle at higher speeds. The estimated fuel efficiency rating, using the US EPA combined cycle, is 50 mpg/US. The Prius was the most efficient car powered by liquid fuel available in the US in 2009, based on the official rating. Only the first-generation Honda Insight equipped with a manual transmission attained a lower fuel consumption rate. The official UK fuel efficiency data for the Prius T3 is urban 72.4 mpg/imp, extra urban 76.4 mpg/imp, combined 72.4 mpg/imp. The 1.8-litre gasoline engine generates 98 HP, and with the added power of the electric motor generates a total of 134 HP. The larger engine displacement allows for increased torque, reducing engine speeds, which improves fuel economy at highway speeds. Thanks to its electric water pump, the Prius engine is the first consumer automotive production engine that requires no accessory belts, which also further improves its fuel economy. The electric motors and other components of the hybrid powertrain are also smaller and more efficient than the industry average. Toyota estimates the new inverter, motor and transaxle are 20% lighter. In constructing the Prius, Toyota used a new range of plant-derived ecological bioplastics, made out of cellulose derived from wood or grass instead of petroleum. The two principal crops used are kenaf and rami. Kenaf is a member of the hibiscus family, a relative to cotton and okra. Rami, commonly known as China grass, is a member of the nettle family and one of the strongest natural fibers, with a density and absorbency comparable to flax. Toyota says this is a particularly timely breakthrough for plant-based eco-plastics because 2009 is the United Nations unregistered trademark International Year of Natural Fibers, which spotlights kenaf and rami among others. On February 12, 2014, Toyota UK announced a recall of the Prius, citing a software error which could cause the car to stop suddenly. Safety. The IIHS rated the 2010 Prius as good except for side impact structure safety cage, which was rated acceptable. In Euro NCAP testing, the Prius was given an overall rating of 5 out of 5 stars, 2011 facelift. In mid-2011, the third-generation Prius liftback received modest style and equipment changes. The exterior changes include updated headlamps, revised tail lamps, plus a distinctive front fascia and bumper, and the deletion of the super white color option in the United States. Prospective American Prius buyers wanting a white exterior must either choose the Blizzard Pearl color for an additional $220, or choose another make or model. The Prius can be equipped with an updated infotainment system featuring the optional Toyota Entune suite of connectivity features. Other updates include a 6.1-inch touchscreen, an AM/FM CD player unit, a USB port for iPod connectivity, an auxiliary input jack, a Bluetooth hands-free phone capability and streaming audio. The Prius also includes an optional solar panel on the roof of the car, solely to power a ventilation fan while the car is parked, to keep the interior cooler in sunny conditions. For the US market only the Prius 2, 3, 4 and 5 were offered. The premium Prius 5 model's advanced technology package includes the premium HDD navigation system, plus the head-up display, dynamic radar cruise control, pre-collision system and lane keep assist. The pre-collision system retracts the front seat belts and applies the brakes in certain conditions when it determines that a crash is unavoidable. Lane keep assist can help the driver stay within the lane. The US 2012 model year includes Toyota's Vehicle Proximity Notification System, which emits an artificial engine noise to alert pedestrians, the blind, and others of the vehicle's presence due to significant noise reduction typical of a hybrid vehicle traveling at low speeds in all-electric mode. Prius family. Prius plug-in hybrid. The Prius plug-in hybrid is based on the conventional third generation with a 4.4 kWh lithium-ion battery that allows an all-electric range of 23 km. A global demonstration program involving 600 pre-production test cars began in late 2009 and took place in Japan, Europe, Canada, China, Australia, New Zealand and the United States. The production version was unveiled at the September 2011 Frankfurt Motor Show. Deliveries began in Japan in late January 2012, followed by a limited rollout in the US in late February. Deliveries began in Europe in June 2012 and in the UK in August 2012. During its first year in the market, global sales reached 27,181 Prius PHVs, making the Prius PHV the second top-selling plug-in electric car in 2012 after the Chevrolet Volt. As of December 2013, about 48,600 units have been sold worldwide. Prius V. At the January 2011 North American International Auto Show, Toyota revealed the 2012 model year Prius V, an extended hatchback wagon, which is derived from the third-generation Prius and features over 50% more interior cargo space than the original Prius design. In May 2011 Toyota introduced the Prius i++ in Japan, which is available in a 5-seat, 2-row model and a 7-seat, 3-row model, the latter a Euro 1 registered trademark S third row enabled by a space-saving lithium-ion drive battery in the center console. The 5-seat model uses a NiMH battery pack. The Alpha is the basis for the 5-seat Prius V launched in North America in October 2011 with a nickel metal hydride battery pack similar to the 2010 model year Prius, and with 2 rows of seats to accommodate 5 passengers. The European and Japanese versions are offered with a lithium-ion battery, with 3 rows of seats with accommodations for 7 passengers. The European version, named Prius Plus, began deliveries in June 2012. About 322,000 Prius i++ Plus have been sold worldwide by June 2013. Prius C. Toyota unveiled the Prius C concept at the January 2011 North American International Auto Show. The Prius C has a lower list price and is smaller than the current Prius hatchback. The production version was unveiled at the 2011 Tokyo Motor Show as the Toyota Aqua, and was launched in Japan in December 2011. The Prius C was released in the US and Canada in March 2012, and in April 2012 in Australia and New Zealand. The Prius C is not available in Europe, where instead, Toyota is selling the Toyota Yaris Hybrid since June 2012. The Prius C and the Yaris Hybrid share the same powertrain. The Aqua ranked as the second best-selling car in Japan in 2012 after the Prius brand, as Toyota reports together sales of the conventional Prius and the Prius i++. When sales of these two Prius models are broken down, the Toyota Aqua ranks as the top-selling model in Japan, including Kei cars, with the Aqua leading monthly sales since February through December 2012. The Aqua is considered the most successful nameplate launch in Japan in the last 20 years. Since its release, more than 500,000 units have been sold worldwide through August 2013, and sales are led by Japan with 448,703 Aquas, followed by the US with 65,583 Prius C. The Aqua was the top-selling new car in Japan in 2013, including Kei car sales. Fourth generation. In August 2013, Toyota Managing Officer Satoshi Erjiso, who was chief engineer for the Prius line, announced some of the improvements and key features of the next-generation Prius, expected to be introduced as early as 2015. The next-generation Prius is being designed to deliver significantly improved fuel economy in a more compact package that is lighter in weight and lower in cost. These objectives are being achieved through the development of a new generation of powertrains with significant advances in battery, electric motor and gasoline engine technologies. The next Prius will feature improved batteries with higher energy density, smaller electric motors, with higher power density than the current Prius motors, and the gasoline engine will feature a thermal efficiency greater than 40%. The Prius fuel economy has improved on average by about 10% each generation, and Toyota has set the challenge to continue to improve at this rate. The next Prius will feature the Toyota New Global Architecture, which provides a lower center of gravity and increased structural rigidity. These features, along with other improvements, will allow for gains in ride and handling, agility and aerodynamics. The improved aerodynamics will contribute to an all-new exterior design, which includes a roomier interior. Ergiso also explained that the next-generation Prius plug-in hybrid vehicle is being developed in parallel with the standard Prius model. Toyota is developing a new wireless or inductive charging system that produces resonance between an on-floor coil and onboard coil to transmit power to the battery. The company plans to begin testing of the wireless battery charging system in Japan, the US and Europe in 2014 for a future plug-in Prius. Toyota is also considering requests from Prius PHEV owners for additional all-electric range. In December 2013, Consumer Reports named the Prius as the best value, for the second year in a row. Sales: the Prius is sold in almost 80 countries and regions. Worldwide cumulative sales of the Prius had passed the 1 million mark in May 2008, exceeded 2 million units in September 2010, and reached the 3 million milestone in June 2013. Of the 3 million sold worldwide, over 1.3 million have been sold in North America, a similar number in Japan, 260,000 in Europe and about 80,000 in the rest of the world, of which 18,300 were sold in Australia. Global sales of all Prius family vehicles totaled 3.67 million units through the end of March 2013, including 2.93 million Prius liftbacks, 294.9 thousand Prius VI plus or minus, 409.5 thousand Aqua Prius C and 32.7 thousand Prius plug-in hybrids. Prius family vehicle sales accounted for 71.6% of Toyota Motor Company worldwide volume of 5.1 million hybrids sold through March 2013, including the Lexus brand. As of April 2011, the U.S. accounted for almost half of Prius global sales, with 1 million pre-sold since 2000. However, the Prius experienced 2 consecutive years of sales decreases from its peak in 2007, falling to 139,682 units in 2009 before rebounding to 140,928 units in 2010. Sales in Japan reached 1 million pre in August 2011. Cumulative Prius sales in Europe reach 100,000 in 2008 and 200,000 units by mid-2010, after 10 years on that market. The UK is one of the leading European markets for Prius, accounting more than 20% of all pre-sold in Europe. Toyota Prius became Japan's best-selling vehicle in 2009 for the first time since its debut in 1997, as its sales almost tripled to 208,876 in 2009. In that year it overtook the Honda Fit, which was Japan's best-selling car in 2008 excluding Kei cars. Rising oil prices caused by the Arab Spring led to increased sales of the Prius in the first quarter of 2011, but the 2011 Tohoku earthquake and tsunami led to a production stoppage. Production restarted several days later, but output was hindered due to shortages from parts suppliers. Nevertheless, during the 2011 Japanese fiscal year, the Prius family sold 310,484 units, including sales of the Prius I plus or minus, launched in May 2011, and the Toyota Aqua, launched in December, allowing the Prius brand to become the best-selling vehicle in Japan for the third consecutive year. Until September 2012, the Prius liftback was the top-selling new car in Japan for 16 months in a row, until it was surpassed by the Toyota Aqua in October, which kept the lead through December 2012. The Prius liftback, with 317,675 units sold in 2012, was the best-selling car in Japan during the 2012 calendar year for the fourth consecutive year. The Aqua ranked as the second best-selling car with 266,567 units sold in 2012. Nevertheless, when sales of the two Prius models are broken down, the Toyota Aqua ranks as the top-selling model in Japan in 2012. including Kerry cars, leading sales since February through December 2012. High gasoline prices in the U.S., approaching $4 a gallon by March 2012, contributed to record monthly sales of the Prius family vehicles. A total of 28,711 units were sold in the United States during March 2012, becoming the one-month record for Prius sales ever. The third-generation Prius liftback accounted for 18,008 units. The Prius V accounted for 4,937 units. The Prius C, for 4,875 units. And the Prius plug-in hybrid, for 891 units. Another record was set during the first quarter of 2012, with Prius family sales of 60,859 units. It became the best-selling quarter ever. Sales of Toyota Prius family vehicles in California represented 26% of all pre-purchases in the U.S. during 2012. With 60,688 units sold during this year, the Prius became the best-selling vehicle in California, ahead of the previous leader, the Honda Civic, and the third-ranked, the Toyota Camry. The Prius nameplate was again in 2013 the best-selling vehicle in California with 69,728 units sold in the state, ahead of the Honda Civic and the Honda Accord. Toyota sold 223,905 Pri among the various HEV family members in the U.S. in 2012, representing together a market share of 51.5% of all hybrids sold in the country that year. In addition, a total of 12,750 Prius PHEVs were sold in 2012, allowing the plug-in hybrid to rank as the second top-selling plug-in electric car in the U.S. after the Chevrolet Volt, and surpassing the Nissan Leaf. The Toyota Prius liftback, with 147,503 units sold, was the best-selling hybrid in 2012. The Prius V ranked third with 40,669 units, and the Prius C was fourth with 35,733 units. Toyota USA estimated that sales of its hybrids models in 2012 would represent 14% of total Toyota sales in the country. Since their inception in 1999, a total of 1.5 million Prius family members have been sold in the U.S. by mid-October 2013, representing a 50.1% market share of total hybrid sales in the country. Of these, 1,356,318 are conventional Prius liftbacks sold through September 2013. Prius family sales also set a record in Japan in March 2012. Accounting for the conventional Prius and Prius I ± sales, a total of 45,496 units were sold in March 2012, becoming the highest monthly sales ever for any model in Japan since 1997. And representing a market share of 9% of all new car registrations excluding Kerry cars. The Toyota Aqua sold 29,156 units, ranking as the third top-selling car that month. Together, all Prius family vehicles sold 74,652 units, representing 15% of monthly new car sales in March 2012. With a total of 247,230 vehicles sold during the first quarter of 2012, the Toyota Prius family became the third top-selling nameplate in the world in terms of total global sales, after the Toyota Corolla and the Ford Focus. The following table presents retail sales of the other vehicles of the Prius family for the four top-selling national markets by year since deliveries began in 2011 through December 2013. Design and technology. The Prius is a power split or series parallel hybrid, sometimes referred to as a combined hybrid, a vehicle that can be propelled by gasoline and/or electric power. Wind resistance is reduced by a drag coefficient of 0.25 with a camback designed to reduce air resistance. Lower rolling resistance tires are used to reduce road friction. An electric water pump eliminates serpentine belts. In the US and Canada, a vacuum flask is used to store hot coolant when the vehicle is powered off for reuse so as to reduce warm-up time. The Prius engine makes use of the Atkinson cycle. EV mode: when the vehicle is turned on with the power button, it is ready to drive immediately with the electric motor, while electric pumps warm the engine with previously saved hot engine coolant before the internal combustion engine is started. The delay between powering the car on and starting the internal combustion engine is approximately 7 seconds. A button labeled EV maintains electric vehicle mode after being powered on and under most low-load conditions at less than 25 mph. This permits driving with low noise and no fuel consumption for journeys under 1 mile. The car automatically reverts to normal mode if the battery becomes exhausted. Prior to the 2010 model, the North American model did not have the EV button, although the EV mode is still supported internally by the Prius Hybrid Vehicle Management Computer. Batteries. There are two principal battery packs, the high-voltage battery, also known as the traction battery, and a 12-volt battery known as the low-voltage battery. The traction battery is a sealed 38-module nickel metal hydride battery pack providing 273.6 volts, 6.5 Ah capacity and weighing 53.3 kg is supplied by Japan's Panasonic EV Energy Company. They are normally charged between €40 and €60% of maximum capacity to prolong battery life as well as allow headroom for regenerative braking. Each battery pack uses €10 kg of lanthanum, and each Prius electric motor contains 1 kg of neodymium. Production of the car is described as the biggest user of rare earths of any object in the world. The LV battery is essential to starting the car, providing initial power to the computer. The second-generation Prius contains a 1.310 kWh battery, composed of 28 modules. Each battery module is made of 6 individual 1.2 V 6.5 or prismatic NIMH cells in series forming a 7.2 V 6.5 module. Each module contains an integrated charge controller and relay. These modules are connected 28 in series to form a 201.6 V 6.5 battery, also known as the energy storage system. The computer-controlled charge controller and battery management computer systems keep this battery between 38% and 82% state of charge, with a tendency to keep the average state of charge around 60%. By shallow cycling the battery, only a small portion of its net available energy storage capacity is available for use by the hybrid drive system, but the shallow computer-controlled cycling dramatically improves the cycle life, thermal management control, and net long-term calendar life of the battery. Active cooling of this battery is achieved by a blower motor and air ducting, while passive thermal management was accomplished through the metal case design. Battery life cycle. As the Prius reached 10 years of being available in the U.S. market, in February 2011 Consumer Reports decided to look at the lifetime of the Prius battery and the cost to replace it. The magazine tested a 2002 Toyota Prius with over 200,000 miles on it, and compared the results to the nearly identical 2001 Prius with 2,000 miles tested by Consumer Reports 10 years before. The comparison showed little difference in performance when tested for fuel economy and acceleration. Overall fuel economy of the 2001 model was 40.6 miles per US gallon while the 2002 Prius with high mileage delivered 40.4 miles per US gallon. The magazine concluded that the effectiveness of the battery has not degraded over the long run. The cost of replacing the battery varies between $2,200 and $2,600 from a Toyota dealer, but low-use units from salvage yards are available for around $500. One study indicates it may be worthwhile to rebuild batteries using good blades from defective used batteries. Environmental impact, fuel economy and emissions. United States. Since its inception, the Toyota Prius has been among the best fuel economy vehicles available in the United States, and for the model year 2012, the Prius family has 3 models among the top 10 most fuel-efficient cars sold in the country as rated by U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. After the Honda Insight first generation was discontinued in September 2006, the Prius liftback became the most fuel-efficient car sold in the American market, until it was topped by the Chevrolet Volt in December 2010, as the plug-in hybrid was rated by EPA with an overall combined city highway gasoline-electricity fuel economy of 60 mpg US equivalent. According to the EPA, for the model year 2012, and when only gasoline-powered vehicles are considered, the Prius C ranks as the most fuel-efficient compact car, the Prius Liftback as the most fuel-efficient mid-sized car, and the Prius V as the most fuel-efficient mid-size station wagon. Economic and environmental performance comparison. Among Prius family models sold in the US, Japan, the following table presents fuel economy performance and carbon emissions for all Prius family models sold in Japan since 1997. The ratings are presented for both the current official 10 to 15 mode cycle test and the new JC08 test designed for Japan, a Euro unregistered trademark as new standards that goes into effect in 2015, but it is already being by several car manufacturers for new cars. The Prius second generation became the first car to meet Japan, a Euro unregistered trademark as new 2015 fuel economy standards measured under the JC08 test. Fuel economy and CO2 emissions comparison. Among Prius family models sold in the Japan, lifetime energy usage. In 2008, the British government and British media have requested that Toyota release detailed figures for the energy use and CO2 emissions resulting from the building and disposal of the Prius. Toyota has not supplied the requested data details to address statements that the lifetime energy usage of the Prius is outweighed by lower lifetime fuel consumption. Toyota states that lifetime CO2 saving is 43%. As of 2010, the UK government car service runs over 100 Pri, the largest part of its fleet, and lists the Prius as having the lowest CO2 emissions among its fleet. CNW Marketing Research initially published a study in which they estimated that the total lifetime energy cost of a 2005 Prius was greater than that of a Hummer. The study is widely cited, but its contents have also been widely debunked. See for example Hummer versus Prius. Dust-to-Dust report misleads the media and public with bad science. Electromagnetic field levels. The Prius uses electric motors in the hybrid propulsion systems, powered by a high-voltage battery in the rear of the car. There has been some public concern over whether the levels of electromagnetic field exposure within the cabin are higher than comparable cars, and what health effects those fields may present, popularized by a 2008 The New York Times article. However, Toyota and several independent studies have indicated that aside from a brief spike when accelerating, the electromagnetic fields within the Prius are no different from those of a conventional car and do not exceed the ICNIRP exposure guidelines. A 2013 study by the Mayo Clinic found that patients with implanted cardiac devices such as pacemakers and defibrillators can safely drive or ride in hybrids or plug-in electric cars without risk of electromagnetic interference. The research was conducted using implantable devices from the three major manufacturers and a 2012 Toyota Prius hybrid. The study used 30 participants with implanted devices, and measured electric and magnetic fields in 6 positions inside and outside the Prius, and each position was evaluated at different speeds. Quietness. The Wall Street Journal reported in February 2007 on concerns that quiet cars like the Prius may pose a safety risk to those who rely on engine noise to sense the presence or location of moving vehicles. Blind pedestrians are a primary concern, and the National Federation of the Blind advocates audio emitters on hybrid vehicles, but has been argued that increased risks may also affect sighted pedestrians or bicyclists who are accustomed to oral cues from vehicles. However, silent vehicles are already relatively common, and there is also a lack of oral cues from vehicles that have a conventional internal combustion engine where engine noise has been reduced by noise-absorbing materials in the engine bay and noise-cancelling muffler systems. In July 2007, a spokesman for Toyota said the company is aware of the issue and is studying options. In 2010, Toyota released a device for the third-generation Prius meant to alert pedestrians of its proximity. Japan issued guidelines for such warning devices in January 2010 and the US approved legislation on December 2010. Models equipped with automatically activated systems include all 2012 and later model year Prius family vehicles that have been introduced in the United States, including the standard Prius, the Prius V, the Prius C and the Toyota Prius plug-in hybrid. The warning sound is activated when the car is traveling at less than 15 mph and cannot be manually turned off. Marketing and culture. CO2 advertising. In the UK, the Advertising Standards Authority, an independent body charged with policing the rules of the advertising industry, ruled that a television advert for the Toyota Prius should not be broadcast again in the same form, having breached rules concerning misleading advertising. The advertisement stated that the Prius emits up to 1 ton less CO2 per year, while on-screen text included 1 ton of CO2 less than an equivalent family vehicle with a diesel engine. Average calculated on 20,000 kilometers a year. Points of contention were the vehicles chosen for comparison, whether up to 1 ton less adequately communicated that reductions could be lower, and whether the distance used was appropriate. 20,000 km per year is around a US car's average annual driving distance, while a UK car's is 13,440 km. Political symbolism. The large number of Prius-owning progressive celebrities in 2002 prompted The Washington Post to dub hybrids Hollywood's latest politically correct status symbol. Conservatives called Prius patriots also drive the cars because they want to contribute to reduce U.S. dependence on foreign oil. A 2007 San Francisco Chronicle article said Prius progressives were becoming an archetype, with American conservative commentator Rush Limbaugh opining that these liberals think they're ahead of the game on these things, and they're just suckers. In July 2007 the New York Times published an article using data from CNW Marketing Research finding that 57% of Prius buyers said their main reason for buying was that it makes a statement about me, while just 37% cited fuel economy as a prime motivator. Shortly afterwards Washington Post columnist Robert Samuelson coined the term Prius politics to describe a situation where the driver's desire to show off is a stronger motivator than the desire to curb greenhouse gas emissions. Some conservatives promote use of the Toyota Prius and other hybrid cars. For example, Jim Rode from What Would Jesus Drive? Encouraged people to drive hybrid cars because of the damage that large SUVs and faster cars can do to others. Former Central Intelligence Agency Chief James Woolsey, Jr. drives a Prius because of its low fuel consumption. Woolsey noted the volatility of the Middle East, coupled with anti-U.S. sentiment in much of the region. Noting that the high percentage of oil drilled in the Middle East gives vast profits to Middle Eastern regimes, Woolsey believes that it is a patriotic obligation to drive more efficient vehicles. In a Motor Trend magazine article, Woolsey stated that those oil profits find their way to terrorist groups like Al-Qaeda, meaning that Americans who buy inefficient vehicles would, in effect, be indirectly funding terrorism. We're paying for both sides in this war, and that's not a good long-term strategy, said Woolsey. I have a bumper sticker on the back of my Prius that reads, Bin Laden hates this car. DARPA Driverless Edition. A driverless version of the Prius was one of 6 cars to finish the 2007 DARPA Urban Challenge. Other media, Brian Griffin, the anthropomorphic dog from the animated sitcom, Family Guy, drives a silver second-generation Prius. The Karen Dilettanti, a drivable vehicle appearing in the 2008 video game Grand Theft Auto 4, and its successor, the 2013 video game Grand Theft Auto V, is based on the second-generation Prius. Motorsports, a racing version of the car took class pole position and finished 6th at the 2012 Fuji GT 500 km. Government and corporate incentives. There have been a number of governments with incentives intended to encourage hybrid car sales. In some countries, including the US and Canada, some rebate incentives have been exhausted, while other countries such as the United Kingdom, Sweden, Belgium, and the Netherlands have various or alternative incentives to purchasing a hybrid vehicle. Several U.S. companies offer employees incentives. Bank of America will reimburse $3,000 on the purchase of new hybrid vehicles to full and part-time associates working more than 20 hours per week. Google, software company Hyperion Solutions, and organic food and drink producer Cliff Bar & Company, Broken Footnote offer employees a $5,000 credit toward their purchase of certain hybrid vehicles including the Prius. Integrated Archive Systems, a Palo Alto IT company, offers a $10,000 subsidy toward the purchase of hybrid vehicles to full-time employees employed more than 1 year. Broken footnote: Travelers Companies, a large insurance company, offers hybrid owners a 10% discount on auto insurance in most U.S. states. The Farmers Insurance Group offers a similar discount of up to 10% in most U.S. states. Broken footnote: See also, Comparison of Toyota hybrids, Fuel economy maximizing behaviors, Honda Insight, Hybrid electric vehicle, Hybrid Synergy drive, Hypermiling, List of hybrid vehicles, Plug-in hybrid electric vehicle, Toyota Camry Hybrid, Toyota e-com, Toyota FTCH Concept, Toyota Prius C, Toyota Prius Custom Plus Concept, Toyota Prius Plug-in Hybrid, Toyota Prius V. References. External links: Official websites for Australia, a Euro Japan, a Euro UK, a Euro US, Toyota Prius at DMOZ.